Hi, this is Charlie Page, owner of the Directory of E-Zines and Common Sense Article Writing. Welcome to the second video in this series, and what I want to talk to you about today is the last video for just 1 second. In the last video, I asked an important question, which is, do you trust Google? Many of you replied privately via email and on the blog, and I really appreciate that. And it seems that many do not. We got comments like, Charlie, I've lost trust in Google for the following reasons. And then he went on to articulate the reasons. Do I trust Google? No, I do not. Now here's one. We got this sentiment several times. I try to follow Google's rules, but the problem is they keep changing the rules in the middle of the game. And that's sometimes how online marketing feels, isn't it? The rules change in the middle of the game without you knowing it. And we also had comments like this, which I thought were fascinating. Google is the best source of free traffic to those who know how to avoid their ever-changing algorithms. So we're seeing a common denominator here, which is that Google can be a tremendously powerful source of traffic. That's number one. Number two, you don't really have to trust them to profit from what they're doing. And number three, you've got to know how to avoid the ever-changing rules. And frankly, the only people who get hurt, in my observation, the people who get hurt from the ever-changing algorithms are the people who are trying to game the system. They're trying to beat Google at their own game. So what will be the method that will open the flow for you? That's the question we need to address today. Last time, in the last video, I showed you this picture, and I said that the water in this picture really is traffic coming to your website, and that Google isn't the water, they are the pipe. They're the conduit. They're the way that traffic flows to you. They're one of many ways, and we'll look today at some other ways, but they're one of many ways and can be a very powerful way for traffic to flow to your website. And the question I got over and over and over again is, how do I turn this handle so that I can increase the flow? And that's what this video is about today. So let's explore 4 alternatives. Number one, paid advertising. You know about paid advertising. You know sometimes it's expensive, sometimes it's not so much. A lot of people talk about paid advertising. Unfortunately, there's a lot of hype out there. You hear people say, I'll never do free methods again because paid advertising is so reliable and so easy to do. And you know, anytime I think that someone is saying all methods except this one are bad, let's throw them out, yuck, I think you've got to put a red flag up. So let's look at 4 alternatives, the first being paid advertising. Paid advertising is very simple. You pay somebody money, they display your advertising, and that causes traffic to come to your website. So what are some alternatives within the paid advertising world? Well, there's pay-per-click. You're familiar with this. If you haven't used it already, you might at some point. A lot of people trash talk pay-per-click advertising, and frankly, pay-per-click advertising has been wonderful and terrible at the same time. But like almost anything else, there are good things and bad things about pay-per-click. Have you ever noticed this? I'm old enough to have noticed this. I've lived in bad economies and I've lived in good economies. And in bad economies, I've seen people go broke and I've seen people absolutely make millions. And in good economies, I've seen people go broke and I've seen people make absolute millions of dollars. I don't think it was really the outside forces that were causing these people to succeed or fail. I think it might have been a more internal thing. That's how I think about pay-per-click. To throw the baby out with the bathwater and say all pay-per-click is evil, I think is an overreaction. Pay-per-click can be good, and Google is not the only game in town. Now, if you do a Google search and you see ads down the right-hand side of the Google search results, those are pay-per-click ads. And the way that works is that the person who placed that ad, they're paying every time there's a click, hence the name pay-per-click. Another method of advertising is banner ads. Banner ads, you know what they are. You see them on advertising all the time. When you go to dictionary.com to get the definition of a word, when you go to many, many different websites, you'll see banner ads. And the people who are anti-banner will say there's banner blindness. People are blind to them. They don't even notice them anymore. And you know, that's a really tickle the ear, compelling type thing to say if you want to sell an alternative to banner ads. But the truth is, banner ads can be very, very effective, and they are very low cost. So something to consider. Solo ads are simply this. It's an email that is sent to the list of an e-zine publisher on your behalf. So you pay an e-zine publisher a fee, and he or she will send your email standing alone, hence the name Solo, out to their entire mailing list. So it's kind of like renting their mailing list for a day by paying them a fee. Now, the world of solo ads has changed in the last couple of years, where there are all these guaranteed clicks. I guarantee you pay me $700, I'll send you 1,000 clicks. That's a little different variation on solo ads, and I'm not sure yet if that's a good thing or a bad thing. We're testing it. But solo ads traditionally are your email sent out to the mailing list of an e-zine publisher, a person who sends content on a regular basis, so their audience likes them, knows them, trusts them, and when your ad appears to that list, you see wonderful results. Other methods of paid advertising: remarketing. Remarketing is this: when a person visits your website, and let's say you're dealing with a remarketing company, a person visits your website, there's a little cookie that's set on their machine. Now, when they visit other websites in that remarketing company's network, your ad shows up to them. So it's kind of like your ad follows them around the internet. People who sell remarketing services often talk about that. They'll talk about how your ad can follow a person around and how it's important that a person sees an advertising message 7 times before they take action, and there's a lot of truth to that. So I know remarketing is complicated, and forgive me if I'm not explaining it straightforwardly enough, but basically it works this way. You pay a remarketing company a fee, and they put a little code on your website so that when people come to your website, a cookie is set on their computer, and then when they visit other websites that are in the same network of websites of the remarketing company, they see your ad, and you pay for that to happen. So it can be a very powerful thing. I have more information about this, all of these as a matter of fact, on charliepage.com. Another method of paid advertising is ads on blogs. Now, this is a little bit different than a banner ad. It's similar but different in the respect that your ad can be graphical like a banner, or it can be a little text ad. It can be an ad inside a post on a blog. There are a lot of variations on this, and there are now springing up some really powerful networks of blogs where you can place ads on very specific niches and pay a reasonable fee. So another way of paid advertising. And your own affiliate program is a paid advertising method. A lot of people, when they make lists of paid advertising methods, don't count this, but it's true. If you pay affiliates 50% in order for them to drive traffic to your website, make sales, and earn a commission, you're paying. You're just not paying out of your pocket until the sale is made. So where you would have kept 100% of a sale, you now keep 50 or 30 or whatever it is percent. So having an affiliate program of your own, which is wonderful. I mean, I love my affiliates, don't get me wrong, but it is a form of paying, so it's a type of paid advertising. So paid advertising delivers powerful results. There's no question about that. But they are short-term results, because if you stop paying, you stop getting new visitors. So that's, a pro and a con of paid advertising. Now, here's a little graphic I made up. You can find this on charliepage.com of the different methods of paid advertising, and I talk about each one on my blog at charliepage.com. So this does, in my opinion, if I were advising you, if we were sitting across the table from each other or next to each other on the same side of the table, that's what I prefer, this does need to be part of your mix when you can afford to do it. Not everybody can afford it, but if you can afford a little bit, it's good to get started with this. So that would be my advice. All right, there is also free advertising, and this is the holy grail that people want so badly. They want to not spend any money, place an ad, and make a bunch of sales real quick. Unfortunately, so many people have been hurt over the years by the promises, false promises of websites that promise, just post your ad, you'll make $1 million and all that type thing. And it's unfortunate. Does free advertising work? Can free advertising work? Well, let's look at the methods of free advertising. First, there's posting ads. You're familiar with this. I'm sure you've seen courses on how to post ads. I'm sure you have seen software for how to post ads. Post to 1,000 websites with one click type of thing. And you may have spent time posting ads. The concept here is that you go to websites that are like classified sites or other sites like that, where you can place your ad for free and then you place a business ad there and people respond to it and you make a sale. And it costs you nothing except time. There are also click exchanges. Now, a click exchange, these are less popular than they used to be, but a click exchange is basically this. You agree to go to 5 websites and view them for a certain period of time. It doesn't have to be 5, a number of websites, and view them for a certain period of time. You agree to stay on these websites for 45 seconds or a minute, and in exchange for that, your website gets put in the rotation so that other members of the click exchange agree to stay on your website for a certain period of time. So you get people who are looking at your website. The question is, why are they looking at your website? So click exchanges are still around. They're not as popular as they used to be, but they are one way of doing free advertising. Doesn't cost you anything. Commenting on blogs and forums is a type of free advertising. It's sweat equity. You're doing the work, you're not paying the money. Commenting on blogs and forums can be very, very profitable if it's done well. I know people personally who started commenting on forums, became seen as the expert on that forum, became moderators of forums, and built businesses off of that. Can it be done by anybody in 15 minutes? No. It takes time. It takes effort. But commenting on blogs and forums can be a very powerful way of free advertising if you have more time than money and you have a niche that you're specifically working in. So these are very time-consuming methods. That's something that you have to count the cost before you build the house. You have to measure twice and cut once, like Stephen Covey said in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So it's very time-consuming. If you're going to start with free advertising, you need to know that right up front. And it creates low-quality clicks and unqualified visitors in many cases. Let's take the click exchanges for example. If you agree to visit 10 websites today, and your agreement is this: I'll stay on those websites for a minute, but as soon as that minute's over, I'm going to get out of there and go to the next website. But I'll stay on that website for a minute, and in exchange for that, you show my ad 3 times. Are you going to pay attention to those websites, or are you just going to count down the minute? You know, free advertising can work if you do enough of it. If it's all you can do, by all means, do it. You know, do everything you can today. But know this: it often creates low-quality clicks and unqualified visitors. So it should be avoided, in my opinion. I believe there are better ways to spend your time than posting ads and using click exchanges and things like that. Now there's content marketing. We hear a lot about content marketing right now. It's very popular. It's on the rise. There are a lot of blogs out there, and there are a lot of people who have done very, very well with content marketing, from Seth Godin to Chris Brogan to people like Brian Clark and on. Brendan Burchard, who's a very well-known name, does content marketing. He shares a lot of content, and that content markets his Experts Academy and his other things. And he's created New York Times bestsellers and things like that, sharing content openly. So what is content marketing? What does that kind of look like? Well, blogging is content marketing. When you share articles that you write or that you curate on a blog, you're doing content marketing. You're sharing content openly with people who look for it, and in exchange for you sharing that openly, they're spending time on your site. Now, perhaps you're building a mailing list. I hope you are. Perhaps you're displaying ads on your website. I hope you are. If you're doing these things and you do blogging with if you do content marketing through blogging, then time becomes your ally, because that content, you make it once. You create or curate it once, and it stays out there forever and will attract to you the audience that is looking to hear from you. Webinars, hangouts, teleseminars, things like that, where it's what I call a one-to-many broadcast. It's one person or a couple of people making a presentation, and then a lot of people can listen to that either live or as a replay. That's a type of content marketing. It's just spoken content. You know, what I'm doing now is a video, obviously, and I also write a lot of articles, and I've written articles about some of these topics. So just different forms of content. Video, like this one, is content marketing. Podcasting is another type of content marketing people sometimes forget about, but podcasting can be very, very powerful. I heard Ray Edwards say not too long ago, and Ray is maybe the best copywriter on the internet. I heard him say not long ago that he'd received more traffic from his podcast than he had. I don't want to misquote him, but I believe what he said was he received more traffic from his podcast than he did any other method or all other methods combined. And that's a very powerful statement. And of course, the reason podcasting is so powerful is that people can consume the content any way they want to. They can listen to it on your website. They can go to iTunes and subscribe to your podcast. Very few companies are more powerful than Apple. And with iTunes, you have just millions and millions of possible subscribers to your podcast. They get it for free. You share the content for free. Then eventually they come to your website. They become your subscriber. And as they get to know you, like you, and trust you, they become your customer. So that's kind of a beautiful thing. Books are content marketing. Whether you sell them or whether you give them away free, there is a groundswell of activity in the free books world, and that's a good thing. There are a lot of books that are being put online at no cost at all because it's a form of content marketing. But whether you charge a fee or you don't for your books, writing a book is a type of content marketing. And of course, reports and white papers, I know only probably old guys like me use the term white papers, but writing a report or a white paper that really goes in depth on one particular topic, or something that goes wide but not so deep and it shows the big picture of something, those are very popular and very powerful ways of doing content marketing. One of the real blessings of doing reports or white papers as opposed to other types of content marketing, and I would say, of course, you want to do many of these, but one of the great things about doing reports and white papers is they're generally delivered in PDFs, and PDFs generally live on people's computers just about forever. So when a person downloads your PDF, they have an opportunity to read it online, offline, doesn't matter, and it stays on their computer a very long time. I don't have scientific hard numbers for this, but I know from experience and from observation that when people download PDFs, they often don't delete them. They'll keep them there, and they may run into that content 6 months, 6 years down the road. So it's a very durable form of content marketing. Content marketing is wonderful because it's free to create the content, whether you are writing articles from your own knowledge or whether you're curating articles or whether you're doing research. It's the most proven online model. If you think about it for a minute, this is really the backbone of the internet, information. And content marketing is information marketing. Whether that information is in the form of a video like this one, articles, books, webinars, it's really the most proven online model, and it creates highly qualified prospective buyers, because when a person reads your article over and over again and then you announce a product or you're promoting a product, they're going to take that more seriously because they now know you and they trust you and they like you. And when those things happen, when people know you and they like you and they trust you, then when you make a recommendation, whether that's displaying an ad on your blog and making kind of a soft recommendation, or whether you send an email out to your list and say, please buy this, you have qualified prospective buyers because they've already heard your voice and they like it. It works in every niche, and again, it's the most proven model online in my personal opinion. I think everyone should be doing content marketing. I really do. Whether you have a blog now or not, I think you should have one. And I think writing articles is easy once you learn how. It's not something you have to do 5 times a day. But if you have a blog and you publish to that blog a few times a week by writing articles or curating content, you let time become your ally. So it's just a beautiful model. You get to express yourself, you get to share your passion, you get to share your knowledge and the knowledge of other people, and you get to build your list and build your audience at the same time, and it really doesn't cost anything. So I like it. I think everybody should be doing it. Let's look at social media. This is another way to drive traffic to your website to make sales. Social media includes things like Facebook and Twitter, which we're familiar with. Google Plus we're familiar with. And LinkedIn is a very popular site. Pinterest and Instagram are hugely popular sites. And I'm defining social media this way. Basically, it doesn't cost you anything to use these sites, and there's a huge bevy of activity. There's just a buzz of activity around these websites. Now, each of these 6 websites that I've listed have a little bit different focus. Obviously, Facebook is different than Twitter. With Twitter, you have the little short messages. With Facebook, you can create all sorts of content. LinkedIn is more for business than it is for personal. Pinterest, Instagram are more visual than they are words. But they all have these things in common, that it doesn't cost you anything to use them. They have a viral aspect to them, and they encourage sharing. So these are powerful, powerful methods of getting the word out. No question about it. They offer you a powerful reach, very powerful indeed. Lots and lots of activity. They're easy, they're free to get started with, and those are beautiful things, especially when you're starting out online. When you don't have a big budget to work with, when you don't have a staff you can delegate to, you need easy and you need free. And so it's easy and it's free to get started. But there is a big downside to social media, and it's not something a lot of people talk about, and that's this. It's like building a house on rented property, which is probably not something you would do. In other words, Facebook is always going to own Facebook. Twitter, LinkedIn, they're all the same. They're always going to own their website. They're going to own that, and they're going to give it to you for free. And they're going to change the rules anytime they want, in any way they want. And that can be very dangerous for you. You really have no control over Facebook changing their rules, or Twitter, or any of these other websites. You have no control, and they can and will change the rules. You've seen or heard about Facebook changing things without anyone really getting a chance to vote or to say, yeah, I don't like that, or, oh, I think that's great. They just do what they're going to do. And hey, they have the right to do that because they own their business and they are in business to follow their passion. So good for them. But it can have an effect on you, and that can be a very negative effect. So what you can't do is put too many eggs in that particular basket. So this should be part of your mix, in my opinion. There's that should word again, but that's how I would advise you. I think this should be part of your mix because the reach is just something that, we can't ignore. It's just too big. But to completely rely on it, to make it your main thing, I think that's a little bit dangerous. I think it's going to come back and bite you if you rely on it 100%. I know there are people out there who really disagree with this, and I respect everyone's opinion. And I have friends who rely 100% on social media for their traffic, and I respect them. I really do. I just would never do that because I have seen these companies. I've been doing this a long time, and I was actually around before these companies started, and I've seen them change so many times. Different ways here and there. Now there's a timeline. Now there's such other thing. No, we're not going to do that. Yes, we're going to do this. And no customer gets any say in this. They just do what they want. So does that make them bad? No, not at all. It makes them who they are. They are running their own business. So to rely on it 100%, I think, is dangerous. What is the key? What is the key to all of this information? What is the key to these many different methods? If you're like me, you see presentations like this, and sometimes you come away from them feeling a little frustrated that you want to go do all these things at one time. And that's not possible for any of us. There are a finite number of hours in the day, there's a finite amount of money in the bank, and there's a finite amount of energy, frankly, in our bodies. So what is the key? Well, the key is going to be covered in my next video, and it's multiple streams of traffic. How do you begin with a solid foundation and create traffic without busting the budget, without exhausting yourself and falling into bed just dead tired? How do you build that solid foundation of traffic and then put on top of that more and more and more traffic till you begin to reach a point where it's overflowing? That's what the next video is all about, so stay tuned for that. I really look forward to bringing that to you. Let's recap very, very quickly because I know this video has gone a little longer than I intended, but I believe this is good information. I hope you're enjoying it, and if you are, I really hope you feel free to leave a comment below. All right, there's paid advertising. If you've got money and you're promoting a product and you want results quickly, then paid advertising No question, it works. Free advertising, you got more time than money. Free advertising methods can work. I really do recommend the forum and blog commenting as a first step because that gets you a link, it gets your name out there, it gets you involved in a conversation. Rather than sitting in isolation just posting, you're having conversation. Content marketing is article marketing, it is article writing, it's curation, it's videos, it's audios like this one, it's podcasts and YouTube and things like that. Content marketing is free to do. It's very powerful for one compelling reason. People want and need information to solve problems. When you're the provider of that content, they're going to become loyal to you. And really, they don't care who provides it. They just want the content. And then there is social media. Huge, amazing reach of people. We're just hundreds of millions of people out there all talking at one time. But you don't have any control, and it's difficult to get your signal through that noise. It's difficult to get your marketing message through all of that chatter. Still, not something to be ignored. So there's my little recap. I look forward to making the next video and sharing with you how to build a solid foundation of traffic and how to build upon that solid foundation. What will be the method that will open the flow for you? That's really the question. What will be the method that will open the flow for you? Focus on that word open for a minute because we're not talking about just opening it and then leaving it set. We're talking about open it up and get a little flow going and then increasing that flow. Think about this for a minute. If you have a car that's parked in your driveway, you can't steer that car. Go out and sit in a car that's not running and try to steer the wheel. Boy, it's hard to turn that wheel. But if you get that car pushing down the street, if you get that car going down the street at even 3 miles an hour, 5 miles an hour, now you can turn the wheel quite easily. That's what I'm talking about here. Let's open the flow for you using proven, conservative, inexpensive techniques and then build that solid foundation and put on top of that other things that create even more flow. That's the name of the game. Okay, that's it for me. I'm Charlie Page. Thank you for being here. Thanks for watching this video. Please do leave a comment, and I hope you have a wonderful day.